Hello there, friends. Welcome to another YouTube exclusive edition of It's So Tiny Miniature Painting with Daddy Louie. I'm Daddy Louie, and I'm very happy to have you here on this episode. So today we are going to be doing bases, specifically urban bases. I'm going for a dirty New York City style base. And the reason for that is we're using Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle miniatures. These miniatures are from IDW Games, a game called TMNT Adventures. And if you haven't seen the first two parts of this kind of series, part one was a live stream, currently lives here on YouTube. That was at our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Circle of Nerds. Definitely go and give that a follow so that you can be notified every time we go live. And that was doing base colors and shading. Then in the last episode of It's So Tiny here on YouTube, we upgraded kind of those base colors and stuff like that to a more advanced kind of painting, if you will. Not super advanced. We keep it at the beginner, very early intermediate stages here. So we did some base layering and some basic highlights and stuff like that. In this episode, we are going to be focused on the bases. So in the last episode, we focused on Leonardo and Raphael. This episode, we are going to be focusing on Michelangelo and Donatello. So let's go down to the table here. So using Michelangelo here as an example, I have rebased the miniatures onto these Marvel Crisis Protocol bases. I've added a little bit of litter and rubble, and then I've base coated the street with Mechanicus Standard Gray, and then put a layer of Nuln Oil on them. So now from here, I am going to make this a little more lively. All right. So we are going to take. Trying to find all my paint colors here. This is, where is my, oh, it's right here. It's right here in front of my face. So we're going to be taking Dawnstone. It is a Citadel layer paint. We're going to be taking our dry brush, and we are going to be dry brushing this cement. I try and go a little light at first just to make sure that I'm not overdoing it. Want to hit the rocks really heavy, although I am going to be painting them a little bit when we get to that stage. But right now, like I said, I'm just focused on dry brushing the street and those rocks, just to kind of bring out the dirt and grime a little bit. Alright, and then I'm going to grab Donatello. He's the other turtle we're going to do here. See, we've also put like a little brick and a cup. Again, we are going to dry brush that with our Dawnstone. And the reason that I did the Mechanicus Standard Gray off camera is because I wanted I really wanted the wash to sit for a little while to make sure that the ground was nice and dark, and I did not want to have to wait on camera, basically. So this little solo cup on the ground, on the other turtles, which I will show in a minute, that I'd already completed. I made their cups red solo cups, so I was thinking about making this one a blue solo cup, so that I just had a bit of diversity with what I got there. So that's it. Very light dry brushing. So now I am going to go ahead and grab a blue. I think I will use the same blue that I used on Leonardo, because it's a really... No, I'm going to go with a little darker blue. We're going to go with Calidor Sky here. And this is going to be for the solo cup. Of course, if you don't think it's a solo cup, you're welcome to paint it any color you like. Alright, I'm also going to fill the top of the cup with a little bit of black. Like that there. And then I'm going to give it that classic solo cup white rim around the top. Also have this green stump here. That's going to represent a brick. I made that out of just some scrap, like sprues from other miniatures that I have put together in the past. I usually save a couple of empty sprues so that I can do stuff like this. Use it for other projects. So I'm basically just hand making my own brick here to put amongst the rubble. Okay. So that gives it a little bit of color. I will put washes on those. Yeah. Real quick, I'm going to grab some Administratum Gray, and I'm going to kind of paint these rocks a little bit. I want them to be very distinct from the base and not a similar color. I mean, they can be similar, obviously, gray is gray, but I really want them to pop a bit more. So it actually looks like rubble. Alright, I think it's ready for a wash. I'm going to grab Nuln Oil. I'm going to move my Nuln Oil out of the way so I don't make a boo-boo. The boo-boo we've all made before in miniature painting. Okay, that's pretty good. I might put a little more on that brick, actually. I think it was still a little wet. So now what I want to do is I want to add some. Well, let me do Mikey's base first. Grab Mikey here, move some of these paint pots out of the way. So this right here is a crumbled up can. I'm gonna make it look like a Coke can. I'm gonna use a bright red. I think this is Evil Sun Scarlet. So I'm gonna give it that classic Coke can look by painting that. Okay. And there's a bottle back here. I think I'm gonna paint the bottle. The other bottle I painted this metallic emerald. I think I'm going to use this cobalt metal. So I've got one blue bottle and one green bottle. Again, I'm just trying to change some things up, different from base to base, so that it doesn't look. They don't all look similar. I mean, they look similar, but different. Does that make sense? Of course it does. Makes sense to me. So you can do the bottles and stuff one of two ways. You can either paint them metallic to give them that sheen bottle look, or you can paint them any color you want and then put like a glaze or a gloss varnish on it to make it shiny. Again, grabbing Admin Gray just so that I can make the rocks and the rubble stick out of it. The other thing you could do here is make them black if you wanted them to be darker than the ground. And then I want to put some silver on that Coke can. I'm going to use Lead Belcher as my silver. If you're more talented than me, you can put like some, I don't know, some label or something on there to make it look more like Coke. That's good enough for me. I think it looks like a Coke bottle. Maybe I could do like a, let me try it. Oh, it looks like a tomato can. Looks a little bit like a tomato can. That looks pretty decent. Now I'm going to grab a wash for those as well. That can and that bottle. So I'll do the bottle first. And now our can. All right. So now I will let those dry, and while they dry, I'm going to work on the newspapers. So let me show you real quickly what I did with Raphael. So this is Raphael's base. You can see that that red solo cup, the brick, very similar to what we've already started to do on the other ones. And now this has that newspaper. Now this is already dried, and it was really a testament, not a testament, but a test of my skills in doing newspaper, and it worked out pretty well. So basically what I've done is I have cut out some little pieces of paper that look like newspapers, and I've kind of wrinkled them up to look like newspapers. So I've got different ones. I've got a whole bunch of them, and I've just got to kind of decide which ones I want where and how I want them to look. So let's grab Mikey here. Actually, he's going to be drying for a minute. So let's grab Donnie. He's pretty much dry. And I'm going to take some tweezers, and I'm basically going to pick these things up and see how they look. So let me pick up this one here with my tweezers. And you want them to look realistic, right? So I crinkle them up, make them look folded and stuff. This one, I actually have this one that actually looks like it's rolled up. So let's see how that looks on there like that. It might be a bit too much here in the front. Let's see how it looks here on the back. It might be a bit too much also. How about if we take... You want it to look, like I said, realistic. So if you pinch like the front or whatever, you can get it like this. You can rip parts off. Okay. And then we can set it on the base like that. That looks pretty good. I'll show you how it looks. So the first thing that I do is use super glue, and then I use white glue. So super glue first, and that's just to get it down on the base so that it does not move. It doesn't need a lot. And then I also have a little tiny piece, which I'm going to put in the front. Sorry, I'm doing this off camera. Like that. Again, using a little dab of super glue onto the newspaper, and then just kind of placing the newspaper where I want it. I'm gonna let that sit for a minute. That might be too much. I may not like that very much. And that's kind of the problem with super glue, is unless you do it quickly, it's a little better. So I'm going to set him aside for a minute, and then I'm going to go over here to Mikey. So I don't want to have newspaper on every base. So what I've done with Leo over here is I just crumbled up a piece of paper and did that to just look like more trash. So I may do that also with Michelangelo. So let's see off screen here, kind of what I'm doing. I could just do a little scrap piece of paper. I could ball it up. You don't even necessarily have to use the newspaper. On Leonardo, I didn't use the newspaper. I just used a white piece of paper. So I'm just going to crumble up a tiny bit. It's not going to be as large as the other ones. And I want to put it right up here on the step. The curb. Let that set for a second. Alright, so while that glue is drying, which will only take a second because it is super glue, I'm going to go back to the things that we had put on there earlier and then highlight them. So the blue solo cup, I keep wanting to call it a red solo cup. I'm just going to kind of redo there. To highlight it. And same thing with the brick. I'm just using the original colors that I used to do this. So you can leave them. You can leave these pieces of paper white if you want to. I just used white for these. I'm gonna make mine a little darker. So first things first, I'm going to take some watered down PVA glue. I just use Elmer's glue, and I'm going to place it all over the paper. This just helps kind of seal it. And then I'm going to do the same thing here with this. Just a little bit of watered down PVA. Just to kind of seal that. And same thing like I did for who was it? For the other two. Leo and Raph. I had to look. When you've been painting Ninja Turtles as much as I have recently, you get really confused about which one you're working on. Okay. And now I'm going to use this Cerium Sepia to you know what? I'm going to actually paint the rim first so that I can really let that PVA dry. So I'm just using black, flat black here for the rim. So I'm just very carefully going around the rim here. If any of that was off camera, I apologize. So again, just going around the miniature on this rim here, and then I'm going to grab the other miniature real quick and do the same thing. And then after this, we just have one more step and we're all done. And hopefully you have enjoyed this tutorial on how to just make some very simple urban bases. If you don't have Marvel Crisis Protocol miniatures, what's great about Marvel Crisis Protocol, which is obviously a different game than this, but what's great about them is when they release character packs, they usually come with 2 characters inside of the pack, but they always give you 4 bases. So I've bought several Marvel Crisis Protocol packs in the past, and so I have a big bag of extra bases, which means that everybody else does too. So if you know somebody who plays Marvel Crisis Protocol, you could just ask them to give you some extra bases. I'm sure that there are plenty on eBay for a decent price, considering that we Marvel Crisis Protocol fans have so many of them. Alright, that is the black rim around the base done. And now for the final step. I really want these, newspapers to be dirty, like they've been on the street for a while. So I'm going to take some of this cerium sepia. I'm going to put it in a palette that I have off to the side here. A wet palette, or a dry palette. And on the other one, I just did straight cerium sepia. I don't want to do that this time because it was a little bit too dark. So I'm going to kind of water mine down for this part. And you're going to do exactly what you think you're going to do. You're basically going to put the wash all over the newspaper to give it that dirty, grimy look. And what's great about the crumbled up newspapers is very similar to how you're painting minis and using washes that way. It's going to seep down into the folds and give you that dark, worn look that you're looking for. So just like that. And how much you put on will determine how dark it is. So I'm going to put Donnie off to the side there. Grab Mikey and do the same thing. If you don't have cerium sepia, you could use Agrex Earthshade or any kind of brownish wash, dark tone or light tone from Army Painter. Whatever you have. I wouldn't necessarily use Nuln Oil because that's black and it might kind of make it a bit too dark. But there you go. And that, guys and gals, is how you do urban bases. I hope that you have enjoyed this. If you have, make sure you drop a like and subscribe to the channel so that you can know every time that we drop a new video. Definitely make sure you check out our Twitch, twitch.tv/Circle of Nerds. Follow all my socials, Facebook and TikTok at It's So Tiny, and Instagram at The Real Daddy Louie. You'll get notified there of I do polls and community shout outs and stuff like that. So definitely check all of that out. I really appreciate you being here and exploring these urban bases with me. I will definitely catch you in the next video. Make sure that you take care of yourself, you take care of each other, you play your games, and you paint your miniatures. And I'll see you guys next time. Let's roll that outro.
It's so tiny.